Good morning. Try that one more time. Good morning. Thank you. Good morning. Thanks for leading us in worship. Good morning, Aaron. It's personal. Hey, it's a joy to be with you today. And for those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Lee Waldron. I am the Director of Admissions here, entering my 6th year of service at Tabor College, my 5th year in that position. So most of you have a familiar face to me, and if you gave me a refresher, I could probably tell where most of you come from, at least where you're from, if you're a freshman or a transfer, but I apologize in advance if I don't know a deeper meaning of your story just yet. A little bit of background about me. I'm originally from California, Central Valley, if you're familiar with that, Bakersfield, Shafter. There's no water currently. I don't say that jokingly, but I feel bad for some of my friends who joke to me that I have all this water. It is very tragic that they're in a drought. But I grew up there, and I came to Tabor in 2002, and I studied history, secondary education. Post-graduation, I dabbled in a few things, like most graduates do. You're looking for your call. You're looking to figure out what you're going to do with your life. And so I pursued short-term missions. I went on the TREC program, which some of you are familiar with that. We had some missionaries, I believe, last week in chapel, Ricky and Karen, who are a part of the MB Mission team. They're missionaries in Thailand. That's a program ran through that agency. And so I was in Guadalajara, Mexico for 5 months, and then after that I dabbled and came back and worked here for 1 year at the college. I was an admissions counselor, traveling around a lot, and then I moved back to California, Reedley, California, where I was a youth pastor and a high school football coach. That's a big part of my personality, as I love sports and I love coaching, and I love working with someone and helping them learn a new skill and achieve new things. Moved back to Kansas about 5 years ago, and I have since been living here and working at the college. My family, I have a wife, Sarah Jo. She's a youth pastor in town at the Mennonite Brethren Church on the edge of town, and she also teaches public speaking here. Some of you might have her as a professor, and she's critiquing my speech today, so she'll give me my pointers when I get home. We have 2 daughters. Lydia is a 5-year-old. You may have seen me around with them. She's a 5-year-old, just started kindergarten down the way. She loves that, very passionate about life, very passionate about what she chooses to wear every day, and a battle we choose not to fight a lot of the time. And then there's Penelope, and if you didn't tell, these kids look a little bit like me. Penelope is a little ball of energy that is very stubborn, but just turned 2 and started daycare. She has a tough time learning that she goes to work with mom, because the daycare is at the church, but she gets dropped off at a separate location. So she's adjusting slowly. Our family loves living in Hillsboro. I would have laughed if you would have asked me that in college when I was sitting right here, if I would have enjoyed living here. But I truly do. I love the community. I love being a part of this place. I love the mission that Tabor represents, and I love just being a part of the Tabor family. We enjoy going to ball games and things like that. My family tries to go as many as possible. We enjoy, if we're not watching them live, usually Dad has his iPad or iPhone out. With technology, you can watch the games. And so a little bit about me. This is a deep secret. You can't tell anybody. Like, I'm a big, passionate Blue Jay fan. So I love Tabor sports. And to a fault sometimes, because there's teams in our conference that I really enjoy beating more than others. And out of respect for them, and I won't name them today, but it gives me a great excitement when we put 43 points up on the road against a team that was picked to win the conference. Yeah, you can clap at that. There's nothing wrong with that. It gives me great joy when we sweep a rival opponent to win the conference tournament for the men's and women's basketball team. I mean, there's things that I get so jacked up on, my wife has to calm me down. And then when we lose, the few times it's happened, she kind of has to tell me to go take a walk sometimes, because I'm that passionate. Like, she goes, just go outside, do some push-ups or whatever you got to do, but don't bring that negative, it'll be okay. And I'm that passionate about the Blue Jays. And I consider it a privilege and a joy to serve here and to interact with so many of you on a regular basis. Another thing that fascinates me as I look across this room is how each of you got here today. You each have an individual story that the Lord wrote. And some of the variables are probably similar, because you maybe play similar sports, or you had a youth group setting that was similar, a youth pastor that nudged you this way. So there's some similar variables. But for the most part, the way you got to Hillsboro, Kansas is different than the person next to you. The Lord took you out of your context and the life you're living, and He brought you to Hillsboro, to Tabor, for a reason. And I do believe that. I believe there's an absolute reason why you're here for this season of your life. It may not be all shown to you. You may not believe it every day. But there's a reason why God chose to bring you all the way out to the Midwest. I came to this place sight unseen, and God showed me who He was at Tabor, and has ever since led me on a journey. So I believe the same is true for yourselves. And I understand there's all other reasons why you came to Tabor. You want to get a degree. There's something you want to study, you want to learn more about, so you can go get a job in a craft that something excites you, and you can make money. There's nothing wrong with that. And you could have chosen 100 different places to do that, but yet you chose Tabor. And I appreciate that, and I thank you for doing that. We don't take that lightly, that we're a part of that journey of leading you and helping you transition into adulthood. And while we offer similar things as hundreds of other colleges, I believe Tabor College offers something unique. It's a distinctive, and I could give you a list of them, but the number one thing that I think we offer that other places don't is we're in the business of helping align what exactly is on your heart with the will of God. So we're hoping that you would put everything you have on the table during your time here and eventually find out where you want to serve God and where you want to dedicate your life to Him and what calling that might be. And I believe that through your experiences here that the Lord is going to show you exactly what He wants for your life. We want to make difference makers. We're in the business of making up young men and women that would make a difference in the world. And I believe we were all created to make a difference in the world. Ephesians 2:10 says this: we were all created by God to do good work prepared in advance by God. You and I were prepared to do good things with our lives, to make a difference wherever we go. I believe that. And some of you, that statement you may interpret that a little differently wherever you're at in your faith today. But if I twisted the question and asked it a little differently and I said, do you believe you were just made to exist? You would tell me no. This whole room would say no, there's no way that I was made just to be. That you were created just to be and not for something. You all would agree with me that we are created to be something, that we are created for a greater purpose. And so with that, I think we need to tune in for the next few minutes because I have some tips and some advice or some things that I think are important if we believe that we were created for a greater purpose and a greater reason. The first bit of advice I would have for you is, if you want to make a difference in the world and you want to make an impact, you need to be about passion, right? You need to be passionate about what you're doing in life. You need to, if you're going to make an impact, you've got to love what you're doing. If you're going to call it a career someday, you're going to go down a journey, you've got to enjoy and thoroughly have passion for the work you're in. And I understand, that sounds a little elementary to some of you. Like, sure, I get that. But the history, the data shows that somewhere along the line, people lose track of that. They start out dreaming and with ambitions and goals, and then eventually down the road, something happens and they get stuck in a job, and they get paralyzed into this job, and they just stay in it. And when they finish, they get down the road and they have regret, and they're wondering, how did they get stuck here? You know, think back to when you were 5 or 6, right? Dating some of you guys, going all the way back. You're 5 or 6 years old. You used to give your parents all kinds of goodies, and maybe they would still remember today. You'd tell them, I want to be a fireman. I want to be a policeman. I want to be an athlete. I want to be a football player. I want to be a whatever it was at that time. You know, I'm living that experience right now. My 5-year-old, Lydia Jane, I love her. She says, you know, Dad, I want to be a policeman. That's great. She'll say, I want to be a veterinarian. That's great. I want to be a princess. I want to be a mermaid. Okay, that's be an interesting one to make happen. I want to be a policeman mermaid, she's told me. So now we're really lofty. So her ambitions are up there. And you know, although there's not a lot of consistency in our house right now with those dreams and desires, what I love is listening to her talk about those things. Because that 5-year-old is dreaming. She's throwing out her ambitions, her desires. She's telling me what exactly it is that's on her heart at that moment. And that may change, but I hope that never stops. And the same is true for you and the God that created you to do good works that He's prepared in advance for you to do. He wants you to put your passions on the table. He wants you to tell Him what you love. Psalm 37:4 says, take delight in the Lord and He will give you the desires of your heart. You see, God doesn't want to just give you the bare necessities for life. He wants you to truly live it to the fullest. And He wants to give you everything you desire. And there's no way that anyone in this room could convince me that when God created you, like we just read, He created you to do good work, that He didn't take in consideration what the passions would be on your heart. He didn't align the passions with His objectives for you. I believe our God is powerful and strategic, that when He molded you and He made you beautifully and wonderfully, He created those passions in you for objectives that you didn't even know existed yet. And you still may not. But he created those passions in you so that someday you would align them with the needs of the world. And that's what I call your calling or your sweet spot in life. If you've ever been curious about that. When you take your passions and you intercede and connect them with the needs of the world, that's when you've met your call. That's when you're in your sweet spot. And my prayer is that we would all be able to find that. So I encourage you to present your passions to the Lord. He wants to hear them. My second bit of advice was, if you're going to make a difference in the world, you've got to be about people, right? If you're going to make a difference, you've got to invest in the lives of others. And the best model we have to follow on this is, again, Jesus. For his existence, Jesus dedicated his life to people. He gave so much of himself. He was a very selfless man who poured into the needs of others. Whether that was the disciples that got to follow him on a regular basis, or the townspeople when he would go visit through in his travels, when he would preach to thousands on hillsides, or the sick and needy that just wanted to touch his robe, to touch his feet, to be healed. Jesus gave himself to those people. Jesus was in the business of other people. He dedicated his life to serving the needs of other people. And he set a tone for you and I that could model and see just how he's calling us to be there. Just think about your fondest memories. Yeah, you went somewhere, you did something fun, it was the best day ever, but think about who you did it with, because most of you would reply that the reason you believe in those or remember those memories the most is because the people that you were there with. You see, people are the most important thing we have on this earth that God has given us to enjoy life with and to make memories with. And it's at the heart of God's call for our lives and ministry that he's asking us to dedicate service to meeting the needs of other people around us. You know, I believe that God has uniquely written a story in the lives of everybody in this room. And he's constantly adding pages and adding chapters. A new chapter for some of you was to come to Hillsboro, Kansas. And he's writing chapters. And the beauty of it is he's using those around you to write chapters and to add pages to your story. You know, some of you have been here for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and you're still learning about this place. And it's a beautiful place that God is going to teach you a lot of things at. There's so much to be blessed and so many blessings to receive when you give yourself to another person's needs, when you dedicate your life to serving and meeting needs of others around you. You know, I was blessed to have the opportunity to play football here at Tabor. Great experience. We had some incredible success. Nothing that I will take credit for, but I was blessed to be a part of it. And to the tune that this Saturday they're going to honor 3 of the teams that I played on. So they're going to honor some of the accolades that those teams received as a whole. And we won plenty of games and received some great awards. And probably couldn't compete with the team we have now. But we had a great time. But there's nothing in that experience that compares to the relationships and the friendships and the lifelong connections that I made during my time playing football here. Because it's the people that make the experiences, not the results. It's not the successful. You'll forget about some of that. I can't tell you the scores of some of the games we won, but I could tell you the list of the 30 teammates that changed my life. The teammates that gave time and energy, that called me out when I was slipping, that challenged me to be a better man, that have since been a part of my story, that were in my wedding, that prayed for me, that if I have a need, I have a number of about 10 numbers that I would call right now to say I need. And if I needed $5,000, there's about 5 teammates that I would call. Whether they said yes or not, I know that I could ask them unashamedly. It's those memories that I remember most. And some of those guys will be back this Saturday, and I look forward to sharing some of our experiences together again. So be about passion, be about people. And the last thing I would encourage you to do is to be about purpose. If you want to make an impact in this world, you've got to commit your life to something that is greater than yourself. You've got to be about something that's bigger than yourself. I'm going to ask you a question about motivation. And then I'll answer it. So I'm going to ask you what motivates you, and I'm going to give you 3 choices that you'll answer internally. So what motivates you? Your first option would be mastery. Are you motivated by being the best at something? Is that what motivates you, to be the very best? Does that drive you? Is that what gets you up in the morning so you can be the best at something someday? Second option is a prestigious title that comes with a nice salary. Is that what motivates you? To have a great title, a CEO, a vice president, owner of a company with a large salary so you can spend it on a bunch of stuff. Does that motivate you? That was mine. Maybe when I was sitting here, that was mine my first year of college. I wanted to make money so I could have a lot of toys. And the third option I'll give you is purpose. Does purpose motivate you? knowing that you're a part of something bigger than yourself. And while you're thinking about that, I'll go ahead and show my cards. I admitted what it was, but my number one purpose in life now is to be a part of something bigger than myself. I consider it an absolute joy that 12, 15 years ago that the Lord invited me. He called me to be a part of His team. He invited me to go through life with Him and to be a co-servant in this world. I consider that a great responsibility, but it is what motivates me every day. I get up and I realize that I get to serve God, and I get to serve Him in the context that I'm in. But more importantly, I don't want to let that guy down. He's called me to great things. He's called me to do things, to be a part of a mission here that I believe in with all of my heart. And there's nothing better than knowing you get to be a part of that team. Some of you might ask, what is the purpose? What is Jesus' purpose? Luke 19:10 says, "For the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost." So if we believe that we were created by God to do good things that He has prepared for us in advance, and part of that is that His Son's mission was to seek and save the lost, then my question to each of you would be when's the last time you asked, how can you help? When's the last time you asked, how can I help with this? What's my role in this? What can I do to help? When's the last time you asked God what it is that's on His heart that He would want you to have on your heart? When's the last time you just asked Him in general, what's my call, God? What do you want for my life? How can I best serve you in this world? And the beautiful thing is that God can take all of the passions in this room and He can align them with His will for your life. So whatever excites you and you think about a lot, that can become a career for you, and that can become something that you devote your life to. As we wrap up, I've got a few closing thoughts here. You get one shot at this life. You're only born once and you only die once. And Tim Tebow said it best. He said, you got on your tombstone, you've got the date you were born, the year you were born, and the year you passed away. And in between there, you've got a dash. And my challenge for us all is, what are we going to do with that dash? Because we only get one shot to make the most of it. The number one thing that people talk about on their last breath, their last moments, is all the regrets they have in their lives. It's a long list. I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have went with that career. I wish I would have taken a risk here. I wish I would have talked to that person. I wish I wouldn't have done that. A long list of regrets rather than a celebration of rejoicing, knowing that you gave everything you had for a cause that was well worth it. It's pretty easy to say which one I would ask for your life and for mine. I want to go through life with a passion and zeal that knows that when I'm done, I hope I'm tired. I hope my ending days I'm really tired. But I hope I'm tired because I know that my journey that I pursued as fast and as hard and as aggressive and as fearless after the Lord as I could, and that I was obedient to the doors He opened, that I was open to the community He presented in me. And that's my same prayer for you, is that you would not have any regrets when your life's over, that you would fill it up with rejoicing, knowing that you dedicated your life to committing your passions to the Lord. You gave everything you can to serve the men and women that you come in contact with, and that you pursued a greater purpose than yourself. If you're ever curious what we're up against, just go foxnews.com, CNN, turn on the news. We live in a very, very broken world that desperately needs men and women to say, I'm in, God. What can I do to serve you? When you watch the news, I hope your heart breaks. I hope you get this brokenness in you that says, man, that's sad. But more importantly, I hope it goes even deeper than that. I hope you get this point in that conversation where you go, no, I'm not okay with that. What am I going to do about that to change it? Because believe it or not, this room, this college is filled with opportunity to go make a difference in what we see on the news, what we see in our broken world. Yeah, Satan's at work. He's on the rise. He's trying to move and take over as many hearts as he can. But as we saw in the song we sang earlier, the gates of hell will not prevail at those that follow the King. And if you believe that, and you believe that you're created by God to do good work that's been prepared in advance for you, and you can commit your life to serving the Savior that is calling you to give your passions, your life to people, and your life to a purpose greater than yourself, then you won't regret any bit of that. So my prayer for this room as we close here is, again, that you would seek to be a difference maker. And this conversation speaks to you at different levels. Some of you are just figuring this out. Some of you have about 6 months left here. And then you're going to do what? Maybe you had an idea you're supposed to go do this job or that job. But maybe something like this changes your tune. How can you advance the gospel in whatever you do with your life?